Hey. It always feels funny doing one of those when I'm just trying to talk normal. Hey, everybody. Welcome back. Here's another chill episode of talking about subclasses in terms of the tier list. If you haven't seen the tier list for the first 2 rounds, go ahead and check out that video. But this is the video for round 3. So where do I think they place on the overall subclasses we've talked about? And I think I'll go ahead and let you know that nobody so far has just been straight trash. Everybody has been pretty damn good. So there's going to be a lot of ones that I love and a lot of ones that I think are really, really good. And the ones that, don't quite make it, I'll let you know. So I guess let's just go ahead and get right into it. First off, I would say is the Eldridge Knight. That's right, the Eldridge Knight. And I'm just going to put him right there for now. The Eldridge Knight is really good. The Eldridge Knight is one of those classes that I love. I mentioned it before in the video itself, but when I first started kind of like looking into D&D stuff, the Eldridge Knight was one of those that kind of inspired me in a way to start really thinking about characters in terms of like motivation. I really love the recall aspect of it, being able to like, vanish your sword and bring it back, and I love that the Hex Blade gets that too. The only problem with the Eldridge Knight is that it's kind of old for D&D, and the way the game has kind of progressed means that some of the abilities have fallen behind. I think for that reason, I actually am going to put the Eldridge Knight in great, but I think it's actually high great, to the point where with a few tweaks, it could be like fantastic or near perfect. The only other thing holding it back is that the really, really good stuff, the stuff that I think the Eldridge Knight does best and is most unique about it, you don't start getting until like level 10 to 13. That's rough. That's really, really far down the line for a lot of abilities. I mean, things like the Hex Blade get some of their best stuff at level 3. The Battle Master gets tons of maneuvers at level 3 as well. So the fact that you're limited on your spell list, your main abilities don't start like really cranking up until like later in the game when a lot of campaigns end at level 10. It puts it behind the others. So I think with some added some tweaks, like making it a half caster instead of a 1/3 caster, I think maybe just that would put it into like near perfect or fantastic. But in the state that it is right now, I'm kind of comfortable with it being at great. Although I really love the Eldridge Knight. I have a soft spot for it. It's just mechanically, I think it's held itself back. Next up is the Soul Knife. Oh man, the Soul Knife was cool. I mean, it's just good. It's the rogue class that I kind of imagine a kind of magic-based rogue would be, even though they use psionics instead. So to me, it's one of my favorite rogues. I think so far the ones I've talked about, Swashbuckler is still ahead of it. I am happy to put it in fantastic, and I think it pushes into near perfect actually. But yeah, I think right here would feel about right. I like it about as much as I like the Grave Cleric and the Lycan Bloodhunter. That feels about right. And I think a lot of these, actually, not to spoil things, are going to go around fantastic just because a lot of these subclasses are just really good. But the Soul Knife is one of those where you get what you need quick enough, and then you keep getting stuff that's fun. Their ability to teleport, the rend ability later on, all of these I think are really smartly implemented, and the Soul Knife is one of those where you could do kind of whatever you wanted with it and multi-class it however you want, and it's still great. So I think Fantastic's a good spot for it. Next up is the Forge Cleric. Forge Cleric, yeah, Forge Cleric is just really fun. I'd say for the Forge Cleric, in terms of concept, it gets an A+. right? In terms of execution, I still think it's really good. I wish there was a little more put into some of those spells you get. I think creation is interesting, but maybe not as useful as some other spells. I would have liked, like a lot of fire-based spells. Not to, put it too close to the light cleric, but like fireball would be fun for this guy. And I said it incorrectly in the video, but magic weapon does actually take concentration. So if you were able to cast magic weapon with like out concentration as one of your abilities, I think that would be interesting too. As far as like clerics go, it is a solid choice. It does remind me of the Artificer a lot, and there's been plenty of people who said that's a fun multi-class, and I'd agree. But I'm kind of comfortable where it is right there at Fantastic, right above Great. Yeah, that feels like a really good spot for it. Next is the Fiend Warlock. The Fiend Warlock, the Fiend Warlock is pretty dang good, but I don't think it's as good as the Hex Blade. The Hex Blade probably is the best Warlock in my opinion. I'm happy to put it at the top of Great. The thing that the Fiend has going for it the most is that it's immediately approachable as an idea, right? So if you have like a new player or somebody who doesn't really understand the concept of Warlocks, you can just be like, yeah, your guy made a deal with the devil, and most of them are going to get that. Right? So that's really cool. The Hurl Through Hell ability, like you get way later on, is super cool. It's like just really, really, honestly, just kind of stupidly good and a lot of fun. And if I remember right, you can just do it off of an Eldridge Blast, so that's busted as hell. But I think that getting that so late does kind of put it back a little bit. So while I like the Fiend a lot, I'm gonna put it in Great. And I think it's under Genie. I would say I like Genie a little more than that. I'll put it right there. I like its spot. Yeah, right above Arcane, right below Ghost Slayer. Next up is the Ascendant Dragon Monk. Aw, damn. Ascendant Dragon is fucking rad, dude. It's cool. But again, it's one of those that like really benefits from style over substance. I've argued with people about monks before, and while I understand the complaints, I think monk is fine. I think it's one of those classes that gets shit on maybe a little bit more than it should. Rangers should take all of that. No, I'm kidding. But no, the Ascendant Dragon I think is a solid choice. If you're gonna be a monk, it gives you the damage you need. It gives you the versatility on using your bonus action, and it gives you new ways to use key points. So that all of that is smart and well put together. So I like that a lot. I think Fantastic might be a little strong for it though. I definitely think the Astral Self Monk is way better. So I think I'm going to squeeze him right around here. Yeah, that feels about right. Next up is the Necromancer, and Necromancer is near perfect. Necromancer is so fucking good. I love it. I really do. In fact, I'm going to put him... I'm going to go ahead and let you know. Yeah. Right there, right under Gloomstalker, I think Necromancer goes. Yeah, and the thing Necromancer has going for it is it actually plays into those Necromancer spells. We haven't talked about like Transmutation or Illusion Wizards yet, those kind of things, and those guys I think do that well, but Necromancer and the kinds of spells Necromancers get, being able to raise multiple dead. You're essentially, I said it before, but you're basically a shepherd druid for skeletons, right? Like the amount of dead things you can have following you around can actually become like really wild. Plus that video was fun to make. You guys seem to really like that one. And I actually really enjoy it too. Not that this is a tier list on my videos, it's tier list on the subclasses, but I think making that video may have made it a little more special for me. So anyway, yeah, no, Necromancer is so good. Really, 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 really good. And quickly followed up, I actually think, and maybe this is controversial, Giant Barbarian goes right next to it. It's going to go at the bottom of near perfect, but the thing that the Giant Barbarian is so good at is playing into what's fun about being a barbarian, right? The Totem Warrior is all about defense, right? And passive defense. The Wild Magic Barbarian is all about that random table, right? The Giant Barbarian is about being big and hitting things good. And that's what people love about Barbarian, right? So mechanically, yeah, great. Your Elemental Cleaver ability to give you like elemental damage, your ability to like just start tossing dudes around later is really funny and fun. And it's honestly, like, it's weird that it took this long to get a barbarian subclass that just like loves being a barbarian. So yeah, I'm happy to put it at near perfect. And I love barbarians anyway. I don't know. It seems like for some that's almost a controversial opinion to like the big dumb dude who hits good, but that is a really fun archetype for me. And you know, if I get a chance to be big and dumb and hit, I'll do it. I don't give a shit. So, next up is the Artillerist. The Artillerist is also near perfect. In fact, I'm gonna squeeze his happy ass, I know, all the way up here. The Artillerist is all about just making things go boom. And that's fun. It's not as good, in my opinion, as the Armorer. I saw a little bit of debate on that in the comments section. And I think I'll tell you why. To me, the Armorer has more flexibility, switching between the two different armor sets than the Artillerist does, switching between the Flamethrower and the Cannon. In the healing one, but, you know, I don't think many people are going to use that all the time. Once you get to later levels and you get 2 turrets, the ability to do like 2 different ones is pretty good, but that comes so late that I don't think many people are going to be able to actually like use that unless they're like in a level 21 shot, right? So instead, I think it's just really cool that the Artillerist plays into what it's good at, and I think it does it really, really well. You know, there's nothing wrong with being near perfect. It's just that a multi-class into fighter or even a multi-class into wizard will give you, you know, more spells and more to do, whereas I think going armorer all the way as a, you know, just as the difference between those two. But I love the Artillerist. The Artillerist is fucking cool as hell. I mean, bing, bang, boom, blasting shit all the time. It's fun. Really fun. So if you haven't done it yet, you got to give it a shot, man. That's just good stuff. Yeah, next up is the Mutant. The Mutant, let's see. I like the Mutant maybe more than some would. You know what? I am going to put it in needs work. Not that it's bad. I actually don't think it's bad at all. I think that the trade-off for using your mutagens can get a little rough depending on which ones you take. And I talked about my like archer build in the video because I think that's a way to kind of shrug off some of the negative effects from your mutagens that you're kind of doing to yourself. And staying away from like a lot of the damage, right? But that's only one way to build the Mutant. I mean, if you're running in, you know, with double sword swinging and stuff like that, there's a big possibility you're gonna have a tough time. And while I like the dynamic of like doing damage to yourself to cause damage, like sacrificing your lifeblood to like, you know, embrace a curse, there's a limit to like how much shit you can do to yourself, and like disadvantage on wisdom saves and intelligence saves, all that can hurt. That can really, really hurt. So I think that list maybe needs to be reworked a little bit. Maybe you could do something along the lines of, while this might overcomplicate things, along the lines of your blood curses. Like you get a small bonus, and then if you choose to like enhance the mutation, you'll get a big bonus, but also a negative. You see what I'm saying? That way you can use one of your buffs without necessarily like hurting yourself. And that gives you the ability to also like play a little more in like with different combinations and that kind of thing. And then if you want to like really ramp it up, you know, you can enhance those. So yeah, I think it just needs a little bit of retweaking. It's not bad, but it's just not where I'd like it to be. Divine Soul Sorcerer is fucking sick. It's like the best sorcerer, pretty much. I really like the Shadow Sorcerer a lot, but to me, boom, Divine Soul is like high fantastic for sure. Yeah, and it all comes down to that Cleric spell list. The Cleric spell list is fucking rad. It's really, really, really good. So to tack on the ability to use sorcery points onto Cleric spells, I mean, you're doing shit Clerics only dream of doing. You know, I mentioned it before, but double healing, double harm spells. I mean, you're cranking damage and cranking heals at the same time. Not to mention, like, you know, enhancing Flame Strike or all the sorcerer spells you have. I mean, adding a whole separate spell list to any class is gonna just make it really good. In fact, no, I like it in Fantastic. I don't think it's near perfect. Sorcerer has trouble in the late game no matter what, but giving basically a healing sorcerer cleric like thing wish, fucking kill me, dude. That's just great. That's just really good. Conquest Paladin. The Conquest Paladin is one of the most fun paladins. It lets you live out your like evil jackass side. It kind of plays into like a paladin who's, what's the Batman phrase, like you die a hero or live long enough to let yourself become the villain, right? So that really, really feels like this paladin, and I'm happy to put it in like near perfect. I'll squeeze him. Do I like the giant more? I like the giant more, just barely, but but I'm happy to put it there. Yeah, and you know, your fear effect combo is super fun. Now, it's not always going to work. You're probably going to get a lot more utility out of it fighting like goblins than you would like dragons. But that doesn't mean, you know, you can't have a lot of fun with it. And then, you know, all the great stuff as a paladin. I don't think there's a single paladin that's going to get below great on this. Paladins are just a strong class with a lot of like strong motivation to begin with, and it all comes, I think some of the complaints for paladin like oh, you played it stupid, that's just more of a player thing. But those who kind of understand what a paladin and oaths and all that stuff are, I think make great pallies. So I think Maximus from Gladiator started as a conquest paladin and then became a vengeance paladin, right? So there's that as well. So you can play as a lot of your favorite characters. Darth Vader's definitely a conquest paladin. Yeah. So if you want to play that kind of character, it's a great choice. Next is Swords Bard. Swords Bard is goated with the sauce. For real. Swords Bard is fucking amazing. Amazing. Okay? Being a full caster with all those really, really great bard spells, getting magical secrets later on so you can dip into every single class's spells, and getting the blade flourishes on top of that, it's just amazing. It's just amazing. I would put it up there for best Gish. Absolutely. I think it and the Bladesinger are fighting against each other for best Gish. It gets the exact same buffs that a Bladesinger would get from other dips, right? So dipping into Battlemaster gives it action surge and maneuvers. Dipping into Rogue gives you sneak attack and disengage and hide and all that stuff. So there's a lot you can do with just like 3-level dip into one of these and feel strong as shit. And the fact that they're a full caster that gets extra attack, fucking amazing. Yeah, so Swords Bard is goated with the sauce. It might be my favorite bard, personally. I think it's that good. Next up is the Fey Wanderer Ranger. I think Fey Wanderer is fantastic. I just don't know exactly where. You know what? I actually think there's fine. I think that's a pretty good spot for it. And I think the reason for that is all the same complaints I have with regular old Ranger, right? Well, the Gloomstalker is able to shake all of that stuff. And the Drake Warden is too. The Fey Wanderer does that a little less so. It's not that it doesn't get good stuff. Like the teleporting and the bonus spells, all that's great. I wish they gave it a little bit more. Maybe lean into that Fey stuff just a little bit more. If they gave it something like they gave the Eladrin, where it's like you can choose your season every day, and like spring gives you a charming effect and summer gives you fire damage, something like that. You know what I mean? If they gave it something like that, I'd be able to put it like even higher. But I think it's good where it is. I like the Fey Wanderer Ranger. It's a solid Ranger. It's just, I think, falls behind maybe some of the other Rangers and some of the other subclasses. But it's a great choice if you like that style, and especially if you're playing like a Fey creature, like a Satyr or an Eladrin or something like that. You know, you just got to figure out how they got from the Fey to here, but, you know, that happens so often, it's probably not hard for you to figure out. And last is the Dream Druid. I said it in the video, and I'll say it again. I like the Dream Druid a lot. I think the difference between it is that it's not as strong as the Shepherd Druid, and it's not as strong as the Moon Druid. But that's okay. Like, we're all playing pretend here, man. Like, you don't have to fucking be a power-hungry menace to be fun. And so with that, I think the thing that the Dream Druid does the best is healing. It's a really powerful support caster. And I'm happy to put it, I think here's pretty good. Yeah, no, that's a good spot. My only complaint is I think the campfire ability, what was it, the Hearth of Moonlight and Shadow? I think that one specifically is a little tough to justify if you're in a campaign that has like a city. You know what I mean? You're not going to be using that ability in a hotel room. That's just kind of weird, right? So unfortunately, it kind of did the Ranger thing where like Rangers can be really amazing in one campaign and like basically useless in another. Well, this ability can be great in, you know, if you're out in the woods, but it's really kind of just pointless if you're not. I wish that they had phrased it in a way where it did something. If it just made a bubble that made you invisible inside of it while you're resting, that's sick, right? Because, like, you know, somebody could open your hotel room door and you're not there. They're like, what? Where the hell are you? Right? That'd be really sick. But it doesn't do that. It just like cancels your campfires. If I knew a Dream Druid was going to be in the party and they're based in Waterdeep the entire campaign, I'd probably just be like, yeah, no, that makes you invisible during a short rest, but you have to be taking a short rest the whole time. Right? So if you break the short rest to try to like fight somebody, you become uninvisible. But if you're just sitting there and somebody's like walking through the hotel room or something, you can just sit there invisible the whole time. So I think my only complaint with the Dream Druid is that you get like one ability that's not good. Everything else is good, and Druid spells are good anyway. So you're powerful no matter what. I just wish that one little thing had been tweaked a little bit. But it is a fantastic Druid class. I think when I was doing research for that video, there were people like shitting on it a little more than I expected. Like, it's just not fun. I think there's a lot of ways to make that, you know, really entertaining and good. But, you know, to each their own, and that's fine. But I like the Dream Druid. I think it's pretty well written, except for one ability, and you're one of the only Fey themed subclasses that can actually go to the Feywild. So that's also fun. So, I mean, that's it. That's my tier list for round 3. So that's my tier list, adding round 3 into the tier list maker. If you want to do this for yourself, you actually can. You can go to this website, Tier List Maker, search for me, and you can show me your tier list. You can like print them off and throw them in the Discord server and show me which tier list you made. What do you think is goated with the sauce? Is it just Drunken Master and everything else is poopy doo dog shit? Round 4 is happening this week. Rune Knight has won, so round 4 will be up. And I'm really excited for round 4. There's all kinds of good subclasses coming, and I think it's going to be, once again, there's nothing that's going to be absolute trash. But you know, we'll get there. we'll definitely get there. But But yeah, as always, like, you know, thank you so much for watching. Like, subscribe, all that fun stuff. If you like this kind of content, let me know and throw down your favorite subclasses in the bottom. Also, the Patreon's doing pretty well, so I thank everybody for joining that. The patrons will be on this video right now. There they are. Of course, those are the absolute legend patrons that you can see at the highest tier, and they get to now play D&D sessions with me, with the first session being at the end of this month. So I am so excited for that. But if you'd like to subscribe at a lower tier, I'll be hosting hangouts in the Discord server. We'll be doing things like movie nights, maybe like playing some games together, that kind of thing. And I'll always be around. So yeah, come subscribe to the Discord, come subscribe to the YouTube channel, and tell me what your favorite stuff is. I genuinely want to know. This is just my opinion. You know, if you think anybody is better than anybody, just it's fine. Let me know. So thanks again for watching. I love you guys. I can't believe we've made it to 35K already. Maybe not by the next time we do this, we'll be at 50, and I'll be able to shit my pants over that and cry, and you guys can watch that on camera. But yeah, until I see you this Friday, take care. I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.